Guys, today we're going to talk about running out of things to say, what happens, and we've got a great exercise to teach you how to never run out of things to say again. But why does this happen in the first place?
It usually happens because the person in particular is inside their head. So rather than being in the moment and rather than just being there with the person or the people you're talking to and enjoying the situation, you're judging yourself and you're worried that whatever it is that you've got to say isn't good enough. And then as a result, like, you're over-analysing every particular thing and you're just stopping your brain from flowing, and then you get kind of stuck. And then as a result, you don't know what to say. What would you say, Joe?
Yeah, definitely. Notice how when you're with your best mates or your family, you never run out of things to say.
No, because you don't give a shit.
Yeah,
No.
It's just when it's someone who you're trying to impress. And then all of a sudden, like what you said, you start to judge what you're saying, whether what you say is good enough. Try and think of some really confident people, like maybe...
Russell Brand?
Yeah. Oh, the perfect example, right? A lot of what he says is kind of like gibberish, right?
Basically, a lot of what Russell Brand says is the challenge that we're about to do. That's actually what he does. He just talks and talks and talks and flows and flows and flows. And he's always in the moment, and he just doesn't actually give the tiny shit about the words that are coming out of his mouth.
But why do people find it interesting?
Because he believes it so much, and they get swept up in the energy and the emotion that he provides. It's actually more about that than the shit he's saying, even though a lot of the stuff he says is very eloquent and very intelligent.
I want to think you to think about like you and your mates, and you probably have like loads of in-jokes that no one else finds funny at all. But when you say them, you're just like, this is bloody hilarious, all right? There's hundreds and hundreds for me and my mates. I remember once we were trying to do, think of like some dumb pickup lines for the night. One of my mates is like, come here often, and then my other mate was like, come often. It was hilarious. We thought it was so funny, and because we thought that was so funny, every time we go up to a girl and be like, really, come often. And because like it's called the law of state transfer. So whatever you feel, the other person feels, right? So they could sense that we found this really funny, and that they found it funny too. And then the conversation opened up, right? And then as long as you keep saying stuff that you think is brilliant, they will be naturally curious and enthusiastic about what you have to say.
Indeed.
Yes.
So one thing to remember is what you have to say is worthwhile. What you have to say is funny, it's intelligent, it's engaging. If you believe that, then it will go a long way towards making you unstifled and stopping you from running out of things to say when you're trying to chat up the pretty bird that you've just seen in the bar or the discotheque.
Yeah, or anything like networking, like business networking.
Business networking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that has to be a bit more on point, like the come often or like.
Yeah. Don't go talking to your boss in like in the middle of a business meeting and asking him if he ejaculates often, because it's probably not gonna go very well. But the general theme still applies.
Yes. If you think it's good enough, it's good enough. There was another one where like me and my mates thought it'd be hilarious to try and like pick up girls with our KFC Colonel's card, like boasting about like how many points we had on it. Completely stupid, but because we thought it, I still think it's hilarious. So people were like, ha ha ha, KFC card, that's really funny. The conversation opens up, like, whatever you're interested in, they're interested in.
One thing on that topic. So I was out with a client last week, and he said, Kieran, I want you to show me how to meet people. When we were out, he was like, what is a good opener to meet a girl? What's a good opener? And I said to him, there is actually no real good opener. It's just about you and the energy you've got. So I came up with an opener on the spot, which is, went up to a girl and I said, hey, can I lift you up with my bicep? I want you to hold onto my bicep and I'm going to try and lift you up. Now, that's a silly thing to say, but she grabbed onto that bicep for dear life and was there hanging.
Yeah.
I'm quite pleased to say I actually did hold her up as
yes. So hopefully you realise that it's not really the words that you say, it's more like the energy you put behind it and how you feel about the words you're saying. Do you agree, Kieran?
I would indeed.
Yeah, but we do have an exercise for you, and this exercise is going to help you. Oh, hello. This exercise is going to help you just make it easier to be more confident about never running out of things to say. So it's for a thing called the chain of associations. So basically, if you introduce yourself to me, Kieran.
Hello, my name is Kieran, and I hail from planet Earth.
Okay, so the main words in that sentence are Kieran, planet, Earth. Okay, so if I was to say a sentence with any of those 3 words in, then it would make sense and it would allow the conversation to keep flowing. So I could be like, oh, planet, oh, I used to have a favourite planet, Pluto, but it's not a planet anymore, so I'm now on the lookout for a new one. And then you would use the words I just said and pick a main word and say something based on that.
You know what? My favourite Disney character was Pluto. Actually, is Pluto Disney or is he Warner Brothers? I don't know, but I've always liked Pluto. He's a dog and I've always wanted a dog because they're cute.
I used to have a dog. It was a small little Jack Russell, but my mum gave him away because he was too boisterous.
Boisterous. Boisterous is one of my favourite words. I also like avalanche and gargantuan. Those 2 are also some of my favourite words.
Okay, so this is a perfectly fine conversation, which is sort of fun, and it's a lot less boring. Okay, now some of you might be watching this and be like, what the hell are these idiots talking about? It needs to be a lot more, that's not logical. Like, here's the thing is, no one really cares. Like, as long as it's fun and people enjoying themselves, no one's going to be like, this isn't a logical conversation. They just go with whatever makes them feel good.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what's important to remember.
There's a song that goes, girls just wanna have fun.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of true for people too.
Okay, but we do have an exercise for you, and I'm going to explain the exercise right now.
Yeah, in fact, we're walking towards that exercise as we speak.
What the challenge is we're going to find an inanimate object. We found here a lamppost. You could use a wall, like a glass of water, like toilet brush, whatever, okay? And we're going to practice the chain of associations, but we're not going to do it with a partner. We're going to do it with an inanimate object, which obviously isn't going to talk back, okay? So you have to use the chain of associations on yourself on the last sentence that you said, and you have to do that for 3 whole minutes. Now, Kieran is brilliant.
3 minutes?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Jesus.
Kieran is brilliant at this.
Am I?
Yes, so he's going to demonstrate right now.
Is he? Right, so 3, there's a car coming, so let's wait till the vehicle goes by. Actually, it's going by really slowly. Okay, you inanimate object, I'm gonna talk to you. You are big, you are black, you are phallic, like a penis. Apparently, black men have big penises. That's what I found out when I was 18. I didn't actually realise that was actually a thing. And you know something? Every fucking man on this planet has at some point measured the size of his dick. But we all lie. We all lie and act like we haven't actually done it, but you have. Let's be fucking clear, right? At some point you were maybe 11, 12, 13, 14, and you heard that size mattered. And you heard that if your dick wasn't big enough, then that reflected negatively upon you. So what did you do? You went home, you probably touched yourself, you got yourself hard, and then you actually measured yourself to see whether or not you stacked up. I did it, everybody does it, who the hell cares? Anyway, that sign over there says Roberta. Roberta is a feminine version of Robert. Robert is also my cousin and he's the head honcho of my book, Death of the Ego. Now, ego is a very interesting thing because ego kind of goes in 2 ways. There's ego where it's like, oh yeah man, I've got a really big ego and I think that I'm better than everyone and I'm the fucking man and these people are complete losers. There's that kind of ego, but then there's also the other kind of ego, which is just a separation of you from other people, i.e. the fact that you are aware that you're a separate entity and you have a relationship to other entities that aren't you. That ego. And you know something? There are people who undergo mystical experiences in which they have something that is known as ego death. And the funny thing about ego death is that it's actually the scariest, most terrifying thing that can happen to a person because we believe our ego so much. We hold on to it with such strength. It's like it defines us. And when you feel that slipping away and you feel like the walls and the boundaries of the story that you've built up for your whole entire life about who you are and like the colour of your skin and the race that you are and your sexuality. Oh shit, I'm a man, so I'm supposed to act this way. You know what? I dress this way. I wear these kinds of clothes. When that actually starts to dissolve, you're like, oh shit, who the fuck am I really? Who the fuck am I? That is really the question. But the question is, Actually, isn't the question. The answer to who you are is you are the person that is watching yourself doing all of this stuff. So funnily enough, this is the crazy thing. You have thoughts, right? So I can be here and I can say, hello, my name is Kieran. You could call me Kieran Callum, and I'm here and I'm being filmed by Joseph Elvin. I say all of that shit, but is that actually me? Am I the character, or am I the unspoken, always there but never really thinking, just watching everything? Am I the part of me that's watching me say and think all of this stuff? That's the question. And then that brings us on to questions of like who we are really, like life after death. Is there actually such a thing as reincarnation? You know, there's something called the simulation argument, which argues that all of life is actually a computer simulation. And it sounds so crazy, but some of the smartest scientists in the world actually believe it.
Done.
You hear them like, Woo.
Hello, Mr. Lamppost. My name is Joseph. My favourite colour is blue. I think I like blue because the football team, Portsmouth, wear blue shirts. I was born in Portsmouth in a hospital called St Mary's Hospital. I think they called it St Mary's because Mary is a very biblical and a sort of a virtuous name, which you'd want that associated with hospitals, right? My name is not very virtuous at all, although it is Joseph. He kind of got like messed around in that whole Bible story, didn't he? Him and the donkey. I mean, they both were just a couple of donkeys, really. He really got a rough end of the deal. Another time I got a rough end of the deal is when I tried to do a financial transaction where I bought some sort of upper class thing on a train, but really first class on the train all you get is just like a plug socket and some curtains. I like to have black curtains, just like you're black, in my bedroom. It helps to stop the sunlight from coming in when you're sleeping, and it makes you have a better quality of sleep. I'll tell you what else gets you to have a better quality of sleep is just a really, really big fat mattress and like these linen sheets from Egypt. One of the girls I dated, she spent $80 Australian dollars, or it might be New Zealand, something, on sheets. Oh my god, and she loved these sheets, man. She's like, do not ever make a stain on my sheets. I don't know what would make a stain on their sheets, because we would never get into any sort of activity that would make stains on the sheets. What's your favourite thing to do in bed? I like to jump on the bed, that's number one, and then sleep in the bed, number two, and then watch Netflix in bed, number three. It's weird when you list these things, you never really think to list them. Also, another list you could have is like your top 3 favourite songs from Beyonce Knowles. I like that one, Single Ladies, because back when it was released in 2009, because that was the year I graduated, that song was number 1 in the charts for like 6 weeks, and whenever it came on in the nightclubs, all the single ladies would go really mental, and that's how you know which ladies are the single ladies. It's a bit different for single lads because they all sort of like just go mental all the time, like, yeah, we want some pussy. Like even the lads who have girlfriends would do that. It's funny how a pussy cat is what girls seem to prefer over dogs. That's what I've noticed anyway. But I think dogs have more personality. Cats just sort of lie there and they don't really do anything. Whereas dogs, like you, they're man's best friend, right? And I'll tell you why they're man's best friend. It's because they have more personality, and that's really, really important. And sometimes it's also important to feed your pets, right? Because otherwise they run out of energy. My mum once suggested that we don't feed our Jack Russell because it had too much energy. I think that's animal cruelty. She never did work for the RSPCA. I did know someone that worked for the RSPCA doing their marketing, and I remember they had to make sure that they have the cutest animals possible, but not so cute because they have to look like they've been mistreated. It's a very tough balance to find. You must have a good balance because you're just a lamppost and you're just bolted into the ground. Whereas if you've got 2 legs, you think it would be easier to balance, but actually it's quite hard. I've fallen over many times in my life. I bet you've never fallen over at all. I checked my balance in my bank account recently and it's not as high as I thought it would be, but I don't really know much about getting high because I've never done drugs. So perhaps if I did drugs, my bank account would be even lower. I know some people do drugs and they think it's not such a big deal. It seems like in America, everyone's doing Molly. I've never met a woman called Molly, but I bet she would have a very virtuous name like Mary. I don't think there's a Molly in the Bible, and if there was, Jesus would not be cool with that. He did like wine though, so where's the balance? Because I don't know, there's not many drunk stories in the Bible. There's a lot of drunk stories in my book that I wrote called The Thrill of the Chase. I'm not drunk in any of them because I was teetotal throughout the whole of that story. But a lot of the girls I meet in that book were very, very drunk. I get drunk quite easily. Tell you what else that happens to me easily. I get excited about talking to a lamppost, and it seems like the most exciting thing in the world. Tell you what else is the most exciting thing in the world? Football, especially the World Cup. Did you see it yesterday? England versus Colombia. They almost won, and then the dirty Colombians, they got one in the 95th minute. I don't know why I think they're dirty Colombians, probably because of the way they were playing in the match, but also I've heard there's a lot of evil, crime and drug dealing in Colombia, but I don't know for sure because I've never been to South America. I've been to North America, to New York. They say that New York is like the very much like London. It's very busy and it's full of people that are important and run businesses and are in suits.
It's 5.5 minutes.